Good morning. Welcome to the Science of Mind class. I'm Dr. Petra. Welcome to CSLDallas. And our beautiful new art. We have beautiful art from Nicole Betty. And it's, she's like bringing the transcendent out of nature. Her stuff is amazing. So we have a whole new set of art pieces to experience. I love it. All right, so we are in the introductory chapter, What It Does, and we're finishing up page 46, starting 47. And for those of you who are in the room, Carmen had this fabulous idea that we would put some of our Science of Mind books out that you can borrow. And you can follow along. So if you don't have a Science of Mind book, you can follow along here, you can follow along at home. And then just leave them on the chairs for next week for the next person. So I thought that was a fabulous idea. All right, so we're actually going to start at the bottom of page 46. There is no occult trick to giving scientific treatments. It is just the reverse. Simplicity should mark our every effort, and positivity should accompany all statements that we make into the law of good. And I think we mentioned this briefly last week, but sometimes my classes all run together, so I don't actually know if it was in this class or in another one, where we talk about every time that it says in the Science of Mind, it's not mysterious and there's no occult trick, is because in the late 1800s, there was a great deal of interest in the mystery schools. Theosophy was coming to the forefront, bringing the mystery schools out more into the open. There was a lot of interest in spiritualism and in the occult. And in the mystery schools, there's a whole boatload of esoteric teachings and the idea that one is initiated along the way, and that it's a secret. And of course, the teachings of Jesus in the Gospels is actually already making the secret available. If you look at not what he is supposed to have said and done, but the teachings that are actually come from the teaching stories and the parables, you realize that he's actually bringing forward the exact same teachings that come in the Gnostic, the Coptic Gnostics and the Gnostics and the mystery schools, which is essentially that it's done unto you as you believe, and that healings are possible, miracles happen, and that we participate in that. And if we know the truth about who we are, like when he said, I and the Father are one, when we know the truth about who we are, we can speak the word and the word manifests. And of course, it's a little bit hidden from us today because he was teaching in the culture of his time, which of course is true as well from the mystery schools. And those traditions were also teaching from the culture of the time. And so in the Science of Mind and in New Thought in general, these teachings are, the desire is for them to be less and less and less mysterious, less esoteric, less for the secret and for only the initiate, and only for somebody who has, I don't know, proven their piety or their holiness or their enlightenment. And so you're going to see over and over again as we read in this, whenever Holmes has written, there's no occult mystery to this, there's nothing esoteric about it. It is because he's wanting to pull it out of that and give us a deep understanding that these are universal principles, natural laws that we are operating with, that we are using. And therefore he calls it scientific treatment. He doesn't actually call it prayer. When we do scientific treatment, that means that we are engaged in the creative process in a conscious and deliberate manner, and that anybody can learn it. Anybody can learn it. Now, the thing that's true about the mystery schools and the initiates, which maybe isn't so true for us today, is that in that process, you actually had to demonstrate. Demonstrate, that means prove at every level of your spiritual education that you not only understood, but could apply what you were learning. And today, we have a tendency to just read one book after another, watch one video after another, go to one weekend seminar after another, and we think, oh, I got it. And we go right on with our lives. Whereas the rubber meets the road when we apply it. So it's the application of these principles, the use of these principles that make them real to us. And so that's sort of the upside of the whole mystery school process, is that you had to demonstrate, prove. That means manifest things so that you could, not things like as in a car or a house, but manifest the outpicturing of whatever level of spiritual understanding you were growing into. And so it would be good for us to hold ourselves to that same standard, that we should begin manifesting lives that actually demonstrate the outpicturing of the spiritual truths that we are reading about, learning about, but want to actually embody and apply. So I love that in this chapter, in this introductory chapter, he uses the term scientific treatment. We call it spiritual mind treatment. And we don't call it prayer because it is a specific formula that is designed to help you shift consciousness and to help us move into that deep place of spiritual knowing. Now, you don't have to use a spiritual mind treatment when you want to do a prayer, or when you want to commune with the divine, or when you want to meditate, or when you want to fall on your knees and lament, why God me? Why me? I mean, we all have moments of all of those things. But a scientific treatment is the specific and conscious use of spiritual laws to move the needle in our own lives, whether that needle is the needle of consciousness, the needle of spiritual awareness, the needle of abundance, the needle of accepting our good or health or relationships that work, whatever it is. We can scientifically prove to ourselves that we are using universal principles to demonstrate a different consciousness and manifest something in our lives that is in accordance with spiritual truth. And so this is why we teach and use this thing called spiritual mind treatment. I like to think of it as a pill for your consciousness. If your consciousness is fine, if you don't need a pill for a particular aspect of your consciousness, like you don't take an aspirin unless you have a headache, right? You don't take an aspirin just because, or unless your doctor has prescribed it for your heart, right? You only take it when you need something or want something or want to shift something. So we can think of it as a scientific treatment for our consciousness. And we spend a lot of time on spiritual mind treatment because it is such a profound spiritual technology. So on the top of page 47, a treatment is a statement in the law embodying the concrete idea of our desires and accompanied by an unqualified faith that the law works for us as we work with it. This is a great description or definition of a treatment, what we call a spiritual mind treatment. It's a statement in the law embodying the concrete idea of our desires. And a concrete idea means an idea that is real to us. Not a wish, not a hope, not a, well, maybe, or if I'm good enough, or someday, but a concrete idea of our desires accompanied by an unqualified faith in the law, that the law works for us as we work with it. Not an unqualified faith in God, not an unqualified faith in Spirit, that Spirit thinks we deserve this, or Spirit loves us enough to give it to us, but an unqualified faith in the law, that it works for us as we work with it, right? It's the same unqualified faith that an electrician uses when they put the electrical lines into a house and they hook up all of the lights. An unqualified faith in the way the law works. And if you hook it up incorrectly, you're going to burn the house down or electrocute yourself, right? But if you work with it, with the way that it works, you can light your house, heat your house, put in, get your computer to work, all of those kinds of things for the things that you desire, right? So you can have the light where you want it, you can have the heat where you want it, you can have the AC where you want it, and you can put up your computer where you want it. That's the desire for the concrete of our ideas, for our desire. I want my home to have this certain ambiance. So you decide, are you going to put in dimmers or not? Right? That's our desire. Spirit has no opinion about whether or not you put dimmers in, whether or not you want to have nice ambiance, or whether you want a bright light because you want to be able to see something, right? Depends on the room of your house. Depends on what you kind of experience you want to have. Depends on the kinds of things that are going to be happening in these rooms. Do you see? That's what it means by our concrete desires. Not like it's always something that's out there, but the way in which we want to move around in our life experience. And then when we understand how the law works and we work with it in the way that it works, then we get to have dimmers in the bedroom and bright lights in our workroom when we're, or in our kitchen when we want to see what we're doing, and everything in between. Because we've decided where we want those things, right? Electricity is forever working. The light's forever available, but we're the ones who are shaping it into our particular home and our particular life experience, right? And somebody else might do it differently. So, like, I don't like fluorescent lights in my office. I think I just can't even deal with fluorescent lights in my office. So I have little tertiary lights, and I have a window. And man, if I can go for weeks on end without ever putting my fluorescent lights on, I am thrilled. But I'll tell you, sometimes when I am working on something that's pretty complicated, if I have a lot of papers spread out on my desk or on my table, man, I flip those fluorescent lights on. Does that make sense, right? Because in that moment, that's what I need and want. And I'm using it in a way that allows me to express and experience my life in the way that I want to. Other people love the fluorescent lights. They want that it's bright and it's, do you see? And so it's not about comparisons. It's not about what's right or what's wrong or how you should do it or any of those kinds of things. It's the way that allows us to express our life. Let us waste no further time looking for the secret of success or the key to happiness. Oh my gosh, we got boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes of books that were donated. It was fabulous from 2 or 3 people's libraries. Thank you so much. We always accept spiritual donations of spiritual books. But there was a whole set of boxes. I couldn't believe it. There must have been 25 different books on the key to happiness. And a whole nother series of books on success, financial success. And as if each book had a different secret that it was going to tell you, right? And so what we want to do is sort of draw all those secrets together, which basically each and every one of them is an aspect of using universal principles in a way that we accept and that we begin to work with in our own lives. Each of us is now demonstrating our concept of life, but trained thought is more powerful than untrained. And the one who gives conscious power to their thought should be more careful what they think than the one who does not. Right? We've been manifesting our lives up until we really started doing this work out of untrained thought, which is basically just our habitual ways of thinking about things. We get up in the morning, oh, I don't feel so great. Oh, we get up in the morning, wow, I got a big life, I got a big thing to work, oh, I hope I did it okay. right? Untrained thought over and over and over. And that's what's been manifesting our lives until we start having trained thought, which is thought that's in alignment with spiritual principles using the universal spiritual laws. The more power we give to our thought, the more completely we believe that our thought has power, the more power it will have. All right. Yeah. So do you believe that? What stands in your way of believing in the power of your own thought? What stands in the way of you believing in the power of your own thought? That is our question for today. We're going to go over and say good morning to Ryan and good morning to everybody who's out there online.
Well, currently the thing for you saying your answer to that question is me, because I'm the buffer between you and saying that to Petra. So welcome to everybody. Hi here in the room, and hello to all those joining us online. And I want to give you that opportunity today to say what's on your mind. What causes you to be in trained thought?
To not believe in the power of your own thought.
Believe in the power of trained thought. Okay. And so we would like to invite everybody here in the room. If you'd like to speak, go ahead and just raise your hand. And myself, or the iconic Richard over here, who's checking us out online too, will help hand a microphone. And if you see somebody near you, please pass the microphone to them as well. We love volunteers here at CSLDallas, that's right. And for those who are online, we'd love to hear from you as well too. For the folks who are joining us inside of the Zoom room, you can always hit the raise your hand icon, which I see somebody just did. And also put your questions and comments inside of the chat, and I can bring that into the room. And a special hello to all those folks that are all over the world. I see a bunch of people checking in from everywhere. So thank you for joining us, and we'd like to hear from you too. And you can do that by putting your questions and comments inside of the chat, and I will bring those into the room as well. And just as a reminder, I always like to remind folks that I do keep the chats confidential, so that way we can have a safe container for spiritual growth. So I do see that we have one hand over here.
Great.
Okay, and then we'll go to the first folks online, which would be our moderator next.
Who had a hand? Right here.
Yep. Make sure to say your name so the folks online can hear your question as well.
Good morning. My name's Dennis. This just came to me. In fact, I was thinking about it as you were talking, is not now, but what kept me from believing in the power of my thought was when I first started practicing science of mind, I did not believe in the unification.
Say that again. You did not believe in what?
The unification.
The unification step.
That I am really part of this. I was created. I grew up thinking I'm pretty much worthless and this and that and the other, and why am I here, and what is life about, and life pretty much sucks. And okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I did mind treatment for that for a long time. I didn't count the days or the months, but it took a long time.
Right.
But I remember the feeling I received when it truly became a belief.
Yes.
I literally smiled.
I love that.
And now, all I have to do is, no, I'm part of this. It's come down to a simple little affirmation. It rarely happens. And when things happen in life, I just do my best to go to that space between stimulus and response and go, okay, here's how we handle this.
Yes.
And get into alignment, do things that seem upside down to the outside world, and it's beautiful.
Yay. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, this is why this is the most fundamental false belief that we have is our sense of separation. That's our most fundamental false belief, that we're not a part of what's going on. And whether we learn that culturally or from our religion or from our families or from society, wherever we learned that and however that got reinforced, or even just from our own senses, I'm here and you're there, right? Where we sense the edges of things. And this is where this stops and that starts, right? And so even science started to corroborate the idea that we're separate from everything. And the mystics have known all along that this is not true. This is why we do meditation, contemplation. Both the East and the West has deep mystical traditions where that barrier has been crossed. And then, of course, we move into quantum physics, where that barrier is again being crossed from the science point of view. And the deep and profound truth that we are spirit human, and that there is that aspect of ourselves that is 100% the one making itself manifest as us. And it is one of the most basic things that keep us from believing in the power of our own thought. Beautiful. Thank you, Dennis. Ryan.
All right. Yes, thank you for that comment, Dennis. And I think when I realized that myself, I think I got the same grin going on too. Right? And I feel like a lot of people have had that experience.
Yes.
So good. Armando, would you like to unmute yourself and share in the conversation?
Good morning, Armando.
Good morning, good morning, Dr. Petro and everyone. For me, I think today I would say that what gets in the way is lack of discipline when I take a break. And I have to remind myself, you know, you got to get back into it. And so that's my reminder. I do want to share an experience that I had, and this relates to powerful thoughts. And I didn't know the words to the experience that I had this week until now that we're having this conversation. So I was in San Antonio for net inclusion for Cardboard Project. And one of the workshops that I really wanted to learn more about was matching funds. You know, Cardboard Project hasn't experienced that yet. And so I wanted to learn more. So I go to the shop and I speak to the panelists afterwards to gather more information. And so I've been thinking about it. 6 hours later, I go up to my hotel room, I'm checking my emails, and I receive an email that Charles Schwab Bank is going to be matching donations, $15 up to $15,000 for the month of March. And they're not only that, but they're going to be featuring Cardboard Project for this month. And so I'm like walking around. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like I'm out picturing and I'm putting my thoughts into it, but I'm not. So does that mean I start thinking about the treatment, putting treatment, because I didn't do a treatment for this. I didn't.
As a treatment, your life is a treatment, Armando, right? You lived your treatment. You said, I want this. I'm going to learn about it. And you sat there and you learned about it. You used your thought to pay attention. Then you went and you talked to somebody. And somewhere inside you, I am certain, because I know you, you actually accepted the possibility that this could happen, right? And right there, do you see right there, that's the treatment. You were actually living it. What we do is we do a treatment when we're not living it, when we're not feeling like that's the case. We do the work in consciousness. You were using the out picturing of your life to do that work in consciousness. And congratulations for having it manifest, right? And I'm thinking, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm thinking you did not sit in that workshop thinking to yourself, well, this will never happen for the Cardboard Project. This will never happen to me. This will never happen for me. I don't know how to do this. Who's going to give us this? I know how much you believe in what you're doing. And I know how disciplined you are with your spiritual work, right? And so even if we have those momentary thoughts, well, this isn't going to happen for me, right? We instantly know how to turn that around with a trained thought. For me, that trained thought is, if it can happen for anybody, it can happen for me too. Over and over and over again. If that good can happen for anybody, it can happen for me too. Rather than sitting there, oh, I'm separate from this good, it can't happen to me, right? So I love that you shared that. And I'm quite certain that you are actually doing a treatment the whole time, right, in your acceptance of this good. And congratulations on the proclamation for digital inclusion in Dallas, including the Cardboard Project. Armando, the work you're doing is amazing. Thanks for sharing. Okay, Ryan, I saw you. Absolutely. I saw your hand.
Yeah, you saw my hand, because I'm over here waving it like I just don't care. Hey, everybody. I know you guys online can't see me, but you know I'm having fun behind here. All right, so I have Connie. Connie, do you want to unmute yourself and join the conversation?
Good morning, Connie.
Good morning, Reverend Petra. Good to be here. Good morning, everybody.
What gets in my way is what was woven into my brain as a child growing up from the influence of my parents. And boy, it was strong. And now it's coming more into consciousness. Well, it has been for quite a while. And because it's becoming more conscious, I can work with it. So I set up projects for myself to work on various things. One of the things that I'm setting up here is to honor my path in life and to honor other people's paths in life, to let go of criticism. In the morning when I get up, I look in the mirror and I say, "Good morning, gorgeous. I am Joy." And it really it just permeates my system. It makes me feel joyous. It's amazing. I found that in some group I was in.
But anyway, reworking my brain.
Yes. Thank you, Connie. Thank you so much. And you have demonstrated, and Armando used the word, which we tend to be allergic to in New Thought, and we tend to be allergic to it in the U.S. in general, unless we're sports figures, and that is the word discipline. We want to do what makes us feel good. And the problem is, what makes us feel good in the moment might not actually be what's best for us, like that second or third piece of cake, or that that moment of, well, gosh, I'm so mad they got that good and I didn't, right? That's that moment of it might make us feel good in the moment, but the discipline of trained thought is so empowering. And it is what it means to have trained thought, is to yank ourselves away from those faulty thoughts that are faulty spiritually. They may actually be our human experience, but they're not the spiritual truth. To yank ourselves back and speak that spiritual truth. Yeah, discipline, we have to make friends with discipline, not punishment discipline, but the training of our thoughts. All right, we have a comment here in the room, and do we have another comment online?
Yeah, I'm going to read this one really fast.
Okay.
And I'll turn it to the comment here in the room. So this is a really great one because I think a lot of folks really relate to this. So this person wrote, "Physical pain, mental health conditions are what stand in my way.
Yes.
How do I push this out of the way?" Especially with the physical pain part, that's a real challenge.
Well, it is, but only when we give it, when it's our sole focus, right? Untrained thought will automatically go to the negative. Untrained thought is our brain looking for survival. What do I need to do to survive? And so that's what our amygdala is designed to do. We are biologically trained to look for threat. And we are biologically trained to look for security. And so untrained, our brain is going to focus on, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts. You don't have to raise your hand, but how many of us have gotten a bruise, realized the bruise is fading, and then started to push on it to see if it still hurts? Every time that we are focused on over and over and over again, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts, we're literally pushing on the bruise. And the mental health challenges are the same. It doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt, but it means that that's the experience we're having. It's not the spiritual truth. So our trained thought is by moving to the spiritual truth. Wholeness is my birthright. There are aspects of me that are already whole and healthy. That health is now revealing itself in other parts of my body and my brain. right? That's the spiritual truths, regardless of the experience that we're currently having. That would be like going into an unfinished house, or even a house that has had a fire, and the electrician goes in and says, well, there's going to be light. These lights will all be restored. And we're thinking, oh my God, the house is just about burnt down. What do you mean? And the electrician goes, oh, I just have to do this and 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 this. Oh yeah, the lights will be restored, right? The electrician has no question that the electrician knows what to do, how to reroute it, how to fix it, what wires are needed, what has to be cut out, what has to be put in, and that the lights will be restored. Do you see? There's just no question about it. So when we know spiritual truth, that's what the discipline is, right? The discipline is to say, this is my human experience, and I'm going to focus on the spiritual truth over and over and over and over again. That's what it means to have the discipline of trained thought. And it's a discipline, and it's a practice. And every single one of us can do it. And even if we do it a little bit more every day, a little bit more every day, a little bit more every day, that trained thought will overcome the untrained thought. So it's a great question. Thank you. All right, and wait a comment in the room.
I need some help from my volunteers. All right. Please say your name and your question, please.
Hi, my name is Glenda. And definitely untrained thought is something that has stood in my way of accepting that I am a part of the divine, an emanation of the divine. And the way that has shown up is a sense of unworthiness. And sometimes I will notice little things that I do that bring now that I'm paying attention, I will notice things that I'll do that reinforces this idea of unworthiness. And I had an example yesterday morning. So typically every morning I have a cup of tea, and I just have this little ritual around my cup of herbal tea, and I have my little slice of lemon in my tea, and for whatever reason, I don't even know when I started this, but I've been doing it forever. I will get a piece of paper towel and fold it in half, and when I'm done making my tea, I'll sit my cup of tea on that piece of paper towel on my desk, so that when I'm done with my spoon, I don't lay a wet spoon on my desk or on the counter. I've been doing that forever. And yesterday when I was making my cup of tea and about to get the paper towel, I said, why don't you get a saucer? You have beautiful saucers that match these beautiful cups that you have. Would you serve this way to a guest in your home? No, I wouldn't. If Darlene asked you to bring her a cup of tea, would you bring her cup of tea on a piece of paper towel or on a saucer? You would use a saucer.
Yes.
So why are you using this little piece of paper towel every single day? That doesn't make any sense. You're telling yourself you're not worthy to actually pull the saucer out of the cabinet, and actually you're wasting a piece of paper towel every day.
Right.
So what is the unworthiness?
Beautiful.
Unworthiness. And I realize that these little things show up, and they let me know that what I realize now is that this is not just limited to the cup of tea. My sense of unworthiness permeates, or will permeate, or has the potential to permeate every area of my life. And so if I'm not worthy of a saucer for my cup of tea, I'm not worthy of that condo that I saw the other day that I'd like to have.
Yes.
You know?
Beautiful.
Because there's no big or small.
Right.
If I'm unworthy of this, I'm unworthy of anything that I think is nice.
Right. Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Glenda. Right. It is. It's and that's another discipline of trained thought, is to observe, and to observe without shame or blame. Right. Why do we do it? Well, it's a habit. It's a habit we've created. One, it's a habit we've created with the actual physical activity of the piece of paper, right? But two, then it's a habit of a way of thinking about ourselves and about our lives. And that trained thought to say, no, I'm going to do it this way. And the trained thought to realize, oh, that's showing up in lots of areas of my life, right? That's all under the rubric of trained thought, because we're looking at it now from a new point of view. And I love that, what you said. Yes, if you're doing it in one place, we are doing it everywhere. And that sense of unworthiness is so deeply connected to that sense of separation. And again, whether it's come from family or religion or society or culture or wherever it's coming from, or just our experience of I'm not enough to deal with my own life, right? Wherever that's coming from, the trained thought confronts it and says, well, no, I wouldn't actually treat any other person in my life the way that I treat myself. Wow, right? Trained thought. Stop beating yourself up. That's trained thought. No, I'm not going to say those heinous things to myself. No, I'm not going to beat myself up. No, I'm not going to keep myself from having some experience of something nice. I would certainly do it for any other person. Beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, and we've got a comment out here. Do we want to go back online, Ryan?
Let's go to the comment in the room
Okay,
first.
great.
Okay, I'm Jerry, and I've made I guess quite a bit of differences in the way I do things every day through using spiritual science of mind principles. But I started worrying, well, if I made a lot more changes, I don't know who I would be. I've procrastinate a lot less and worry a lot less, and I'm like, how would that be if I rarely, if ever, procrastinated or worried? I don't sort of recognize that person. I mean, I suppose I would probably be a dynamic person every day, but
Would that be so terrible?
well, in the past, I can be really dynamic if I have a good enough reason, but if I don't, just to be a go-getter every day, I just, I'm like, well,
What?
I know the person I am now. Maybe I ought to just slow down and hold on to the kind of person I am, because like I said, I just don't know what it would look like to be without a certain amount of procrastination and worrying about just about everything.
It's a great question, right? It's a great question, because this is how we define ourselves. We define ourselves by the ways in which we keep ourselves safe and by the habits that we have come to believe are part of who we are. The problem is they aren't who we are. They're simply behaviors. What we have to understand is we're not our behaviors. Go-getter is just as much a behavior. So to not be a procrastinator or a worrier might not mean that you're a go-getter every day. It might mean that you're present in the moment to whatever is called for in that moment, which is actually not a behavior. It's actually who you are. It's who you really are. What if we let go of these trained behaviors and we're simply ourselves, authentically the radiant being of light that we are, actually, truthfully, who we are? And it could be that one day you're a go-getter, and one day you sit and you have your cup of tea, and one day you enjoy the sunset, and one day you decide to try something new, and one day you revel in the memories of your past, and one day you plan for a future, and one day you express your love of life. Do you see? Identifying ourselves with our behaviors keeps us in the comfort zone of the known.
It sounds a lot more freeing when you word it like that. So I may have to keep you on call.
Absolutely. That's right. And that's the thing, right? Science of mind and New Thought is a liberation theology to liberate ourselves from the things that hold us in a container of any sort, whatever the container is. And part of our container is our sense of separation, our unworthiness. But our container can just as easily be, this is who I am. I cannot tell you how many people I've coached, and I say, no, that is not who you are. It's not. And you can learn skill sets that will break you out of those behaviors. That's all they are. They're learned behaviors. And if you want to do it differently, it's skill sets to learn new behaviors. Nobody is telling you you have to change who you are, because who you are is a radiant, magnificent being of love and light. An individualized expression of the one that is simply here to be present, here to be engaged, here to experience and express, here to contribute. That's it. In whatever way you do that, in whatever combination of ways that you do that, in whatever ways you do that over the unfolding of our lives as things change over time. But the truth is we are radiant, magnificent beings of love and light, period. End of sentence. That's who we are. Everything else is behavior. And everything else is an outpicturing of the individualization that we are, right? Some of us do art. Some of us speak. Some of us take care of things. Or whatever combination. Do you see? That's then how we express who we are in our own uniqueness. And so really understanding that it is frightening to let go of comfortable routines and behaviors is part of having trained thought. Because we can look at that and say, wait, but what's the spiritual truth? Ryan.
Petra.
I see you
Yes.
signal to me?
Well, because we're coming to a close.
I know.
Unfortunately, I know. We could. We're going deep today, okay? But I wanted to do a shameless self-plug because this is very important what we're talking about here today.
Yeah.
And we want you to join us in the Step Out in Faith program.
Yes.
Okay? It's a 6-week program. You get to join others. It's free, right? There's no cost involved. Mm-hmm. And we have them both in person and online. And what we're going to be doing is going through a process together of unfolding these spiritual principles in our lives. So I want to do a shameless self-plug because some of y'all don't be joining us for celebration on Sunday. I don't know why. But I'm putting it inside of the chat. And then
Beautiful.
for those here in person, please visit us. We have some kiosks over here where you can get more information and sign up.
And sign up for the home study group that works for your timing. And and the whole community, we're going on this journey together, right? The whole community. And so you can talk to anybody in the community and they'll know exactly what, because we're all doing it together. So thanks, Ryan. All right. So we are grateful to be together on a Sunday morning. Thanks for joining us. We have a lovely opportunity planned in our celebration. I also want to let you know that our in-person meditation retreat is this Friday and Saturday. You must sign up today or tomorrow. It will close on Tuesday. So please do that as well. We'd love to have you participate with us if you are in the DFW area. So in the meantime, have a beautiful, beautiful day and a week, and this week, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.